All right, today I'm going to be talking about how to troubleshoot slow transactions and page loads in Next Experience. And there's an article all about this on the ServiceNow support site. This is the article number, and I'll also put a link in the YouTube video. And the contents of this page include how to make a good problem statement so you can send the good information to ServiceNow. There's also a video here that talks about how to use client interactions in the transaction log table. This is a good place to start when you're trying to understand performance, troubleshooting performance in Next Experience. So watch that video first if you haven't. I've also got a section where I talk about common types of failing transactions. And there's really two types of failing transactions. You, I mean, you could kind of think of it as two types. Either a functional issue where something is broken, it's just not rendering as you expect it. There's some sort of logical error, and then which is sometimes perceived as slowness, and then there's cases where there's actually something loading, but it's just loading very slowly. So what I'll be talking about today is a type of page that loads slowly, and it's going to be an excessive client-side processing. Um, Hold on to your hats, and we'll go to the demo. So here we are, we're in the service operations workspace. I've got the incidents all listed. This is an out-of-the-box list, and you can see I've got about 1,000,000 records here in my instance. So I'm going to reproduce the issue for you now. It may take a few times, it's intermittent, but once we get it, I'll record. All right, we've just reproduced the issue. And what we're going to do here, so what should have happened is this should have just refreshed as soon as I went back to it. But that didn't actually happen. So if I click to some other ones, you'll notice the number here, 996064. That doesn't change. I'm clicking between these. The list is not refreshing. Something is going on here with the UI. This kind of looks like a render, sort of like a broken page issue, where like for some reason I'm clicking but nothing's responding. But one thing we want to check, the first thing usually you want to check is go and see if there's any server-side activity. So you can go into More Tools, Developer Tools. This is a good thing to get used to, and check out the Network tab and see if there's any transactions occurring. Doesn't look like there's anything happening on network, so probably seems like there's nothing going on, nothing going up to the server. The other thing that you can check is you can go to, in Chrome, it's called the Task Manager, but all major browsers have some kind of uh, development panel that will show you the CPU and memory usage of your sites. And if you check for this one, R tab, you can sort by CPU. And notice this one is constantly up at 42% or higher, and it never goes away. This is your big clue that there is something going on the client side that's in a tight loop. So the client side is, your JavaScript environment, HTML and CSS, everything that's processing inside of your browser. And there's a lot of ServiceNow processing that goes on inside your browser, where we have our own proprietary client-side framework, which we call Seismic. It's based on the React framework, which is a very well-known, uh, you know, web component compliant framework in JavaScript that supports Shadow DOM and this, very fast reactive um, modern website behavior. And one of the things that can happen is as there's this concept of state, and then there's various components on the page. And if you change the state, and then one of those components renders, and during the course of the rendering does another update to state that causes additional rendering, you can get caught in these tight loops. I don't know exactly what type of loop is going on here. We're going to do some work to investigate it, but this looks like some type of tight browser JavaScript loop. You can see memory footprint is gradually increasing here. We're up to 1 gigabytes. And there is a 5 gigabyte limit in Chrome and all major browsers where it'll just shut down the process if your memory footprint gets too high. But for now, we can still it looks like we can navigate around. It doesn't look like anything's slow. It just looks like for some reason that my list is not updating. I can click this. Notice nothing happens. I can navigate to these other ones and the count doesn't change. So it's become unresponsive. And as we saw, CPU is really high. So the next thing we'll do is we'll go back to, if you suspect you've got a slow processing JavaScript area, you can go to this Performance tab in your Development Tools, and you can capture a profile. If it's tight loop like this, you only need a couple seconds to see. And this top one is showing you the busyness of what it's doing. So CPU up at the top, you can see about 40% of the CPU throughout this period is in use. When you start these profiles, there's usually a period of kind of blankness at the beginning and then super heavy CPU. This is the profiler itself starting up. So you can kind of ignore this first part, but this other part here is the pattern that we're looking at. And you can zoom into these. You can use your scroll bar and see, look very tightly at one of these spikes, but we kind of have these spikes over and over again. You can see spike, 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 spike. And they kind of have a pattern here with this gap in the middle. It's like a one with a gap in the middle, and then a straight one, and then one with a gap in the middle, a straight one with a gap in the middle, a straight one. So it looks like there's some sort of a pattern going on here over and over, some sort of recursion. And that's really all you need to do. If you get this far, you can click on the download link here, save it to your file, save it to your local machine, zip it, and open a case with ServiceNow and send this to us. And our developers will be able to go in and make sense of this and figure out where the bug is, where the loop is happening, and troubleshoot this for you. If you really want to get fancy, you can go in and try and put some breakpoints. So if I zoom into one of these spikes, you can click on these and actually see the source where the action is occurring, and you can put a breakpoint, in the code there. So line 64 is where we were. All right, I'll put it a little higher. And then whenever the code hits this, it's going to pause. And so it's hit it already, paused on breakpoint. And you've got information about the call stack. You can see in this case, there's timeout, 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 promise, then timeout. So this is clearly a deep loop. There's some sort of recursion going on. This would also help if you do this work, take some screenshots of this, maybe copy that call stack, copy the stack trace, provide that to ServiceNow. This is all really helpful diagnostic information, especially if you have an issue that is difficult to reproduce it. So if it's an intermittent issue, something that's very difficult to reproduce, or ServiceNow, you brought it to ServiceNow's attention and we're not able to reproduce it, capturing this call stack, capturing the performance trace, these are all helping things that can really help ServiceNow understand your issue and get to the bottom of it. So there you go. If you run into these tight client-side processing loops and you check the task profiler, you see high CPU, capture profile, capture the stack trace, send it over to ServiceNow, that'll be well on its way to being solved. And if you are running into this situation and you need to get out of it, you can just refresh your browser tab. You don't need to log out, log back in. If it really is a client-side issue, you refresh your tab, the issue will go away, and it'll come back whenever you hit the same conditions again. All right, hopefully that's helpful. Thank you.